My hobby is fishing. I enjoy fishing in a wide range of locations, including the ocean, mountains, and rivers. But I especially like fishing offshore by boat because I can experience the real thrill of fishing. This is such a story I experienced a long time ago. While the long holiday weekend just around the corner, my mind was occupied with fishing. The reason is that I had been waiting with bated breath for that long holiday weekend to start planning a trip with my buddies to enjoy fishing. In my mind, we would spend most of our waking hours fishing and enjoying sake with the bounty of the sea we called ourselves. I had planned to do this. My heart dances just thinking about it and imagining the luxury of drilling. And my work is done, and it's the first day of the holiday weekend. Blessed with fine weather, the three of us, myself and two friends, got into the car and first arrived at the place where we were staying. We went to the hot springs, had dinner, and got ready for an early start tomorrow morning. I went to bed with the feeling that I would surely catch a fish tomorrow. When I woke up, it was still nighttime. But when I looked at the time, it was already time to get up. The angler's morning comes early. We prepared the preparations briskly and left the lodge before the sun came up. We have known our captain for a long time. He is a local veteran and has tremendous confidence in his knowledge and experience of the ocean. Without so much as a reunion greeting, we set off immediately for the coast. The sea at night has a fantastic atmosphere. Jet black darkness. Without the light of the ship, you cannot even see your own body clearly. If the moon was out, I could see some of it, but when I could see it, on the contrary, I was horrified to see the situation of being spotted in the middle of vast nature. As we started fishing, the sky began to rise and we fished and fished. The captain's recommendations for the best spots are never off the beaten path. It was probably around the time when everyone had caught a certain amount of fish. I noticed a sound. The sound of something creaking can certainly be heard between the sounds of the waves. I thought maybe it was the sound of a boat. I thought it might be, but then I would have heard it all along. Suddenly, I started hearing sounds, my friends also nodding their heads. Then the captain suddenly said, "I'm sorry, guests, but the tide has changed and we're done for the day, sorry about that," and started to move the boat to land. We felt strange, but the captain's words were absolute. Since fishing is still available tomorrow, we decided to enjoy sightseeing. I kept thinking about the sound after I returned to land. The fishing was great, so why did the captain decide to leave? Normally, the captain would take the initiative to stick around and let us enjoy fishing until the very last minute. I have come to the conclusion that there is some secret to that sound. The next day we boarded the boat at midnight before the sun rose again and headed out to sea. During the move, I asked the captain about that sound. "What was that noise yesterday?" The captain looks a little annoyed and replies, "Well, that's a signal to go home." I was going to ask for more details, but we arrived at the point and we started fishing. The waves were very quiet. The sea as well as our rods were quiet and we had a fishless time. In the silence, I began to hear that sound again. As I listened carefully, wondering where it is coming from, I noticed something in the distance. It looked like a small wooden boat and someone was standing on board and moving the oars. Little by little, the little wooden boat seems to be moving towards us. "Captain, the rowboat," I reported to the captain. When I told him, the captain shouted, "Really?" And he yells out, "How many rows do you see?" He asks. I only saw one. My companion could see two. The other one says he can't see anything. As soon as he heard the answer, the captain moved the boat and we stumbled, almost falling over. "Sorry to be rough, but we've got to hurry back," shouted the captain. The captain's unusual mood made us nervous. As I was wondering what in the world it was, I heard that sound again, mixed with the sound of the ship's engine. I looked behind the boat and saw the wooden boat gradually approaching us. It is impossible for a rowing boat to keep up with a powerboat. As I stared at the boat, wondering what in the world it was, I saw it. The boat was rowed by a mummy. People who are reduced to nothing but skin and bones and who do not seem to be very much alive still moved and rowed their boats towards us. "The captain is getting closer," I shouted to the captain. I scream out of fear, but the captain doesn't even react. Captain's crazy about piloting a boat. "What the hell is that?" said one of the others. They did not seem to know what that wooden boat was. As I was stunned by my companions could see that, I began to see land and the pursuing boat gradually moved away and out of sight. Once ashore, the captain says, "We must stay at the shrine today, not at the inn," and leads us on. When we arrived at the shrine, the captain told the supposed Shinto priest, "Our guest has seen a kazuko." Hearing this, the Shinto priest said he would take care of us and force us to stay at the shrine. The priest was very nice to us, and the captain even offered us some fish as a service. Afterwards, people from all over the village came to cheer us on, and I thought it was a fun experience, even though I was scared. After the meal was over, we heard the truth about what is called kazuko. Long ago, long before the war, fishing was the main occupation in this region, where the ocean stretched out in front of one's eyes, and the entire family would go out to the sea to support their daily lives. Schools were not widely available in those days, so even young children were valuable members of the labor force. However, the increase in fish catches combined with the shortage of labor meant that they had to produce labor from somewhere to make ends meet. The labor force that attracted attention was children who had been sold due to hardship in their lives or who had no relatives and no place to go. It is hard to believe today, but there was a time in Japan when children were the victims of human trafficking as valuable labor. This applies not only to fishing but also to other types of work such as farming, and although there is no official history of this practice, it has been practiced throughout the country. Originally, the children of the family called kazuko were responsible for rowing the boat, and the children who came as laborers also worked as kazuko. However, their treatment gradually took an inhuman turn, and the children who were regarded as mere labor were kept working from morning to night. It is said that those who tried to run away or rebel were often treated horribly and even died. There is no official record of how many children were sacrificed as kazuko, and the truth is still hidden in darkness. Such an era continued, and at some point people like us began to hear that they had seen the ghost of kazuko at sea. The number of kazuko on the boat is said to vary depending on who sees it, and the more there appear to be, the greater the probability that they will die in the near future. If you see more than 4 kazukos, you will die for some reason in less than a week. We know that the number of visible kazukos is closely related to a person's social status. For example, people like presidents with many staffs, celebrities, village chiefs, and people who have a lot of wealth are said to die when they see kazuko. The president, who said he has seen Kazuko countless times, fell off a cliff and died a few days later. He said that in recent years inhuman labor had almost disappeared and ghosts have stopped appearing over time, so it is rare for people to say they have seen a Kazuko. Fortunately, or unfortunately, we were ordinary people with no aspirations, and the sight of the Kazuko had no effect on us. However, at the captain's suggestion, we had to stay at the shrine as a precautionary measure. According to the priest, Kazuko does not like shrines. That night, I woke up wanting to go to the bathroom. The hallway creaks as I walk, and I can feel a chill down my spine as I suddenly overlap that sound. I wanted to go to the bathroom and get under the covers as quickly as possible. As I was finishing up in the bathroom, suppressing in my impatience, I heard a noise. I can certainly hear that sound in my ears at a distance that seems both near and far from where I am. I don't move, but keep my breath and focus on my senses to see what's going on. The sound does not stop for any length of time. It continues to beat in the weird constant rhythm, and I continue to frantically try to figure out what to do. Should I continue to hide in the bathroom all night? No, I should be bold enough to escape from the bathroom, and I should ask the priest for help. Kazuko is not going to take me, who is not a celebrity, to the other side by some mistake, is it? Eventually, I decided to leave the bathroom to get help as a result. I move cautiously under my breath, trying to make as little noise as possible, and fearfully open the door to check the situation. I looked right down the hallway, turned left, and there it was. A blue mummy about the height of a child was standing there in the hallway. Its eyes and mouth were gaping unbalanced, and there was nothing but darkness in the depths of the eyes. I was certain that it existed right in front of me, but the unbelievable reality gave me the impression that it was a figment. I tried to scream out in fear, but I could not even move nor speak. I was standing unable to move. Neither Kazuko nor I moved an inch, but as I looked into Kazuko's black eyes, they grew larger and larger, and it was as if I was being sucked in. The next thing I knew, I was on my bed. A priest was praying beside me, and when he noticed me awake, he patted his chest and said, "I'm relieved that you are awake." After that, we returned from our trip without any problems. We had to give up fishing during the trip, but it was not an option after an incident like that. Although the concept of overwork has only recently been recognized, the old problem between the employer and the employee is likely to remain the same. It is sobering to know that similar suffering exists in the world today, albeit not as dire as in Kazuko. After this incident, I have continued to sea fishing, but the captain passed away, and now even the existence of Kazuko has almost disappeared. However, I can only hope that the suffering of Kazuko will at least be passed on as a lesson to the rest of society, so that it can be applied in the future.